Hi, I wanted to share with you 4 hidden costs that a lot of buyers don't necessarily think about when they're beginning their home buying journey. Now, we all understand and know the importance of being pre-approved with a lender before we go down that road for a multitude of reasons. The main ones are to know exactly how much of a down payment we're going to need on that home that we're buying, as well as what exactly the closing costs are going to be. When you put those two together, they really get you to what you care about, which is what's the monthly payment going to be on the house. There's actually 4 other costs a lot of people don't always think about if they haven't sat down with us and had a buyer consult meeting, and we want to share those with you. So the very first one is the need for earnest money. When a buyer writes an offer, they're going to put down an earnest money deposit on the house that's going to go towards the purchase price, but usually that's going to be $1,000. Upwards of 1% ballpark of the purchase price of the home that's going to be needed and required when the offer is written. That money goes towards the purchase price, so it's not actually more money, but it is upfront money that's required out of the buyer. So don't forget that you're going to need at least $1,000 to $5,000 of earnest money. They're going to have to write that check right when the offer is written. A lot of people don't really plan for that or think of it, but that's the first cost to be aware of. The second cost is once that offer is accepted, you're going to have to get an inspection done on the property. Now, a typical home inspection is going to run $400 to $500, but there's a whole lot of add-ons you can choose if you're interested. So one might be like a mold test. You can do like a mold swab. If there's signs of mold, you can do an air test for mold. You can do a pest inspection to make sure there's not wood destroying insects. VA requires every home to have a pest inspection. You could do a water sample. You could do soil tests. You could do septic tests if there's a septic. There's a whole lot of add-ons, but basically $400 to $500 is going to be the cost of the home inspection, and that's going to be required at the time of the home inspection. So not a closing cost, not something that can be put off, but you need to budget $400 to $500 for your home inspection for sure. The third cost a lot of people don't think about is the appraisal. Most lenders are going to want the appraisal paid at the time of the loan application because they're going to use that money to hire the appraiser. And if the deal dies, the lender doesn't want to try to track somebody down for a bill on a house that isn't going to get purchased. So most of the time, they're going to want that appraisal money paid upfront at the time of the loan application. Appraisal is usually going to run $500 to $600. So be aware of that because if you're getting a loan on the property, the lender is going to require an appraisal be done in most circumstances. And the fourth hidden cost that a lot of people don't really think about is the homeowner's insurance. So again, kind of like the appraisal, if there's going to be a loan on the house, the lender is going to require that the loan be protected with an insurance policy. Now, I will say that sometimes this homeowner's insurance can be rolled in as part of the closing costs, but if that's what you're going to do, then you need to know that your closing costs are going to be higher in that situation. But you have to have insurance on the property as a stipulation for the loan in order to close. Sometimes it can be paid outside of closing, sometimes it can be paid as part of closing, but definitely keep this in mind because it's a significant cost that a lot of people don't think about. So hopefully you found this information helpful. If you'd be interested in more details, we'd love to be able to sit down and do a buyer consultation with you where you can really get in the nitty gritty, because the more people understand the process, the more comfortable they feel, the smoother the process goes. And that's what we're here for. Thanks for watching.